Hi, it's Dave at ImageMaker UK, and here we have the review and demonstration video for the sound of this locomotive. And well, I'll say I'm very pleased with it, and for standard sound I'm quite surprised and, like I say, happy. The first thing I'll do is I'll show you the lights and the detailing I've done with it. Yeah, so I'll give you a little look at the lighting, and as we thought, the front lighting consists of these three. You've got the main headlamp at the bottom and the two marker lights, which are a lot more yellow in real life than they will be probably appearing in this video. So they do look really nice. The rear lights, just as I thought again, where they were, just beside the little white in this case, handles, and just as lovely as her normal Bachmann rear illumination. So switch that back. With regard to the detailing, you may remember I talked about the fans, which go obviously in on top here. I suspected the speaker was under there, and I took the body off just to double check, later finding out I didn't have to, because you can actually see it through there if you shine a light in. The speaker is indeed underneath those grill areas where the fans are to be located. That's why they're included in the detailing pack. So you can't really fit them to this when you're using the sound, because it would muffle it far too much. So obviously I've not done that, but they're there as an option if, say, maybe something goes wrong with the sound and you can't be bothered fixing it. I don't see why you would do that, but anyway, or for some reason you want to not use the sound, or you find you aren't using the sound, you can always put those in, and I'm quite sure they'd look really nice in yellow coming through here, make the whole thing very nice green and yellow. With regard to the other detailing, all I've done in the front here, try and get as close as I can, as you can see the little dummy coupler, I think, just right in the middle, and I've added on the the additional three pipes that you get. So they don't really stand out very well because they're black, so I may put little colour codes on them somewhere just to make them stand out a little bit better, but I'm quite happy with it. So I probably will do that, we'll see. You'll see in future videos in which this features. With regard also to lighting, I mentioned cab lighting. I didn't know if this had or had not got it, and I kind of suspected this, but it does indeed not have cab lights. So I mean, it doesn't really bother me too much. I don't use cab lights. I don't really tend to use cab lights too much when I'm actually operating trains, other than when they're initially starting or something, or starting off or hooking up. So it has no cab lights either. One other thing I'd like to mention with this Loco is how smooth she runs. If you run her without activating the sound, of course she still uses the standard CVs that have been set, so she has the slower takeaway and slower to stop than regular un-CV'd, if you like, DCC locos, but she is really very smooth, probably about the smoothest running Loco that I have. It's quite surprising, since I've not even fully ran her in yet. I'll need to go into that, but yeah, she runs really smoothly. So with that all out of the way, I'm sure you're anxious to hear about the sound. Now, what I would like to point out is there are 4 discrepancies in the standard notes that come along with this particular Loco. The first of which being function 10, which they describe as being a coupling sound. If you've heard that before, It's normally just a clink clink sound, a quick clink that you hear. But on this engine, is in fact, if I activate it, you'll hear it's the main compressor. So that is the first inconsistency that I'm mentioning. So the notes that you get are wrong in that fashion. So that's the main air compressor. I'll just stop that so you can hear me properly again. Now the second one I'd like to point out that's not correct in the standard notes is function 9. Function 9 should be a buffer sound, in other words, a buffer clash if it was to hook up with another, or hook up with any sort of rolling stock, for example. But function 9 on this loco is the real flange squeal, which you quite often get with sound locos. In other words, the sound is if it's going around a tight bend or anything that's making it squeal. So I'll demonstrate that just now as well. And I think you can agree that that's certainly not a buffer clashing, that's actually when it's going around a corner and making a lot of noise with its wheels grinding away on the rails. The next inconsistency is function 4. Function 4 they describe as a fan. I'm not entirely sure what they would mean by that. But anyway, it is not a fan. If I let you hear it, function 4 is this. Which is clearly air release. In other words, most probably the brakes being released. Which, to be honest, I would rather have than whatever they mean by a fan. So function 4 is a brake release. The other two things that are a bit different about this are function 7 is a function called, I think, shunting, they call it. Just check. Well, they call it shunting speed. Now what that does, if you engage function 7, is it prevents, or rather it disables any of the takeoff and stop CVs that have been programmed, and just makes it behave as a regular, inverted commas, DCC'd locomotive, which is quite handy for when you're hooking up with rolling stock or just part them out in the yard and you don't want to take it, you don't want the loco taking very long to stop. Obviously if you're hooking with rolling stock you want it to stop when you want it to stop, so you're not pushing the rolling stock around, just hooking up to it. So that is something else that's a little bit different, but I won't be showing it in this video, just to let you know that it's there. One thing that's got me a little bit baffled is function 2. Now, before I show you that, I'll let you hear function 3, which is the double horn, which you would expect this obviously to have. But function 2, the shortest duration of it is this. Now that is a very loud and relatively long sound, and it's supposed to be just a trigger of it, so it should only ever last that period. But I can actually play it because it's latched, I can actually play it like this. Now I'm just going to stop it there manually, because if I left that button switched on it would go like that all day. Now I see absolutely no reason to have that there at all. Even the shortest duration of it sounds, it's actually quite annoyingly loud and slightly long. When the way they describe it is just a single horn, which it is, but you would expect a signal horn just to be a like an acknowledgement to track workers or people in yard, whatever, just to let them know that they're taking off or that they've acknowledged a warning or something. So to have a continuous loud horn like that, it's, I mean, it sounds as though it should be a warning horn, but it can't be a warning horn, because the official warning horn, if a train wants to give a warning for any reason, there are many reasons it could do, the official warning from a train is a series of short, sharp bursts on a horn, not a continuous loud horn. So it has no function there. But all that being said, and with it being a bit, apart from it being a bit loud and annoying, when the engine is actually started up, it doesn't sound quite so loud. So it'll probably be used by me as mainly just a starting off horn, just to let people know it's about to pull off. So that's the only other sound which is a bit strange. It's maybe just a bit too loud, I think. So I think that's all I wanted to say, and after all of that rabble from me, we'll go on to the main sound demonstration. So what I will do after this point is, since you won't be able to hear me too well, I'll put little annotations just letting you know on the screen which function is doing what at what time. So what I'll do is I'll start off with the compressor just for a few seconds, and thereafter I'll start the engine and we'll get the show on the road. I think what I'll do is leave the camera in this position, albeit panned out a bit, and just let you listen to it as she goes around the track and repasses the camera a few times. Okay, so there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that little demonstration. So I think you'll agree with me, it's quite a lovely sounding locomotive. It's a lovely looking locomotive, and I certainly have not got really any complaints about it. The loud horn works very nicely for the start away, which I think you probably heard just then. So yeah, I think that's all I've got to say about it for now. If you want it, go and buy it if you can find it still available. So that's the Class 57 DCC sound fitted as standard, number 57003, and I'm away now to have a little run around the track with it myself and hook it up with some freight. So I'll see you in the next video. Keep a lookout for that when it comes out. And Image Maker UK, alias Dave, signing off.